So it seems that the Space Marine Smash Captain takes to the skies once again. Apparently an interesting case of a model that's going to be an event release miniature that then sticks around, and he might well be the herald of the next big model reveal show for Games Workshop's Warhammer Day. Let's talk about the new miniatures and what they mean. Hello and welcome back to Auspex Tactics, where it's been a pretty busy weekend for the Space Marines. First, Marneus Calgar gets leaked with a partial photo, then Games Workshop just unveil a small wave of shiny Ultramarines kits, and then apparently just in case that wasn't enough Space Marine goodness for people, it also seems that we've got a new Jump Captain coming, another slightly unexpected release. In this one I thought we'd talk about the new model reveal and its counterpart for Age of Sigmar, Jump Captains in general and compared to the previous, what might be coming to Warhammer Day. I thought I'd also use this video to talk about the channel's October giveaway. The one for 3 channel viewers to win an entire battle company of Space Marines of somewhere between 50 and 100 Marines. I'll talk through the details to enter that one at the end of the video. As mentioned though, it seems that we've got yet another Space Marine model reveal. The other day we had Marneus Calgar, the Victrix Honor Guard, and Cato Sicarius. Marneus Calgar in particular raising eyebrows given that he's had a pretty recent Primaris sculpt, and given they've taken him off sale, it seems there's a reasonable chance that that might not stick around. Today though, we maybe have a sort of similar kind of release in another Space Marine sculpt for a model that we basically already have, a captain with jump pack and storm shield with the options of either a chainsword or a thunderhammer. Apparently this miniature is initially going to be a Warhammer Day release model. In general in Games Workshop's calendar they seem to set aside budgets for a bunch of limited edition miniatures to either go for store anniversaries, event specific minis, and usually some unique ones for Warhammer Day as well. But this one is kind of unusual in that they've just flat out said that it'll be on as a permanent range edition after Warhammer Day is over. They've also got an Age of Sigmar miniature as well, but that one's apparently not going to be treated the same way, and that's going to be just while stocks last in the more normal way. This one is at least fairly unusual. Most of these event style miniatures basically come in and then go away when stocks sell out, and are more fun alternative sculpts for their armies that seemingly Games Workshop can justify for a small limited run, but they don't think it's worth maintaining for their factions ranges in the long term. Lots of them tending to be just slightly reposed or different aesthetic miniatures to represent different HQs or squad leaders, some of them having slightly different war gear, but it seems that this guy's justifiable enough to keep around. I guess with the maths on the Space Marine kits, they've got quite broad appeal to quite a lot of people, and it just seems that by the numbers Games Workshop can justify keeping more of them in the range, which maybe does feel particularly painful when we've had plenty of factions lose some pretty cool miniatures in 10th. I feel like there's a fair few armies with an axe to grind, and seeing Space Marines double down on the same character isn't going to be great feels. They didn't say exactly when this one will be coming out, but they said that it will go on pre-order and then be on sale for Warhammer Day. That's an annual event that they tend to do in October and usually associated with a big reveal show, but I must admit I felt it was very curious in the article when they basically say that Warhammer Day is late October, it'll turn up for then, but they didn't actually say what date Warhammer Day was. I'm genuinely unsure if they've mentioned it elsewhere on social media at some point this year, but it does seem like really quite a curious decision to say that you've got this big celebration of Warhammer, try and make it an event for people's calendars, but then also choose to not tell you exactly when that is. I guess given the 2-week pre-order though, this guy plus the Age of Sigmar one will go on pre-order sometime mid to early October. As an aside, there are 2 miniatures. The Age of Sigmar option is called Urkan the Dark Warden. He looks like a pretty fun and all rather sinister Chaos Lord. I'm sure you could make use of him for Warhammer 40k if you had a mind to. Really quite a fun sculpt though, certainly could be a fun one to paint up if you wanted a painting project. Apparently that one's only going to be available while stocks last. Focusing on the Smash Captain though, here's an alternative sculpt to the Captain with Jump Pack that's released at the start of 10th edition, so that one really hasn't been around all that long. It's already been discounted in a couple of places with a Battle Force box set and now the Raven Guard Combat Patrol. I did think it was pretty notable that on the datasheet for the Jump Captain at the start of 10th edition, they decided to keep him with a Thunderhammer and Storm Shield loadout. The rest of the options were in line with the previous Jump Captain, but then you could just trade out everything for Thunderhammer and Shield, which did seem out of step with how they'd treated the rest of the characters, broadly having their loadouts very exactly locked to models actually on sale. Seems there's a pretty reasonable chance it might have been done with that in mind, though even so it still seems that that datasheet would still need a small digital update at the very least. Maybe the choice of a captain is a pretty unusual one. It could have been a jump chaplain or a jump librarian, neither of which the Space Marines have at the moment, though have previously been able to field in the past. For all the Space Marine commanders out there's really quite a lot that you could do in the various different armour marks, or either with jump packs and bikes, options they might have had in 40k's past where things were less tied to miniatures, and might have had individual sculpts on sale or just none of them. It is another captain sculpt they've gone for though. It's got a hammer and shield option, and the option to take Thunderhammer versus Chainsword. I can't imagine too many people would go for Chainsword when there's the exciting Thunderhammer on offer. It does feel pretty iconic for Splash Captains in the past, perhaps particularly for the Blood Angels. It's also got a head swap as well, the bear one versus the helmeted one, plus a sort of Iron Halo thing on its jump pack. This one absolutely doesn't seem to be any sort of necessary purchase if you want to have one in the army. You can super easily magnetize or kit bash the current one and just give them a hammer and shield arm. I'm sure at least a few Space Marine players might have some shields left over from Blade Guards. And you could think about picking up a Vanguard Veteran kit for bits. That's got quite a good supply of power weapons, even if they're probably going to have updated models soon. Overall, I do think it's a fairly nicely executed model, again jumping off a bit of crumbled Imperial Ruin there. Chainsword or Thunderhammer held ahead, and his shield feels like a sort of mid-sized one, perhaps closer to the smaller square shields, but with a little extra bit at the bottom. As miniatures go, it seems that it's been pretty well received. I'm sure there'll be a few Blood Angels players looking to pick one up. In any case, there's now 2 models on offer. The current one with the Power Fist sword or chainsword, plus some fancy pistols. He's got a cape and a laurel wreath, but otherwise pretty similar models, just slightly different posing. I think out of the 2 of them, I do like the new one a bit more. I think the sort of alighting or jumping off the terrain piece looks a little bit more convincing than the previous one, though I feel like both of them are kind of fine really. It does seem like really quite a curious decision not to put the extra war gear on the previous jump captain though. Maybe they wouldn't have been able to fit it in without using a bigger sprue or something, or maybe they wanted the posing to reflect the shield just that bit more. For the sake of just a couple of bits though, the differences aren't enormous, and if you magnetise the wrists of the jump captain you could easily swap them out. For his current in-game rules, he's got a fairly solid datasheet. He's 75 points and can lead assault intercessors with the jump packs or the Vanguard veterans, and often fielded with the Power Fist as his weapon of choice for 5 attacks at Strength 8, AP 2 and Damage 2, often being at Strength 9 because he gets +1 to the strength of his unit on the charge. Overall fairly punchy, and it gives you the standard Captain free battle tactics stratagem. It's usable enough when backed up by a big squad of jump intercessors, and particularly enjoyed by the Blood Angels as well, where he can get on well with the Sanguinary Guard, giving them some higher strength and free stratagems, and it's particularly nice in the Angelic Inheritors detachment. It does seem that he would need a small datasheet rewrite though. There's currently no option to take a chainsword and shield paired, which the new miniature can take should he want to. Maybe not very relevant unless Games Workshop brings back war gear costs in some big way in 11th. I guess with the mention of it and I suppose the initial build up to Warhammer Day, I'm guessing that that's probably going to be the next reveal show that we get this year. I guess unless they decide to do something early October for the Las Vegas Open. Currently though, they seem to have decided to decouple their online preview shows from physical in-person events, so have had things billed as the Big Summer Preview online, as opposed to naming it after the event that it was happening at the same time as. It does seem like at least a fairly sensible move on paper. The in-person events are only relevant to maybe 100 or so people, while the online ones are typically viewed by tens of thousands of people live around the world, never mind all the people who catch up on the content after. It does also feel like each one of these is aimed to be really quite a big event. It certainly had some previews in the previous year, where people turned up to view them and maybe went away a little bit on the disappointed side of things. I guess if it does wind up being late October, there's quite a lot of time before then. There's certainly been a few more of their Monday reveals, and also we've been getting quite a lot of leaks recently. The Nightbringer and the Kill Team set and the Ultramarines all having to come out early. I guess we're expecting the Christmas Battle Force box sets, but if it's late October, I'd guess they'd probably reveal them before then. I'm going to guess that this might be the grand unveiling of the new Plastic Adeptus Custodes range for the Horus Heresy though. That seems on the cards to be pretty soon there. At least on paper it feels likely to be the next Kill Team unveiling as well. I'm guessing our first glimpse of whatever End Edition campaign might be coming for Warhammer 40k. In 9th edition we had the Arcs of Omen kicked off with Vashtor the Archifane. Let me know what you'd hope for down in the comments below though. Finally, just to round off the video, I'll give a quick shout out to the channel's giveaway for October. And as mentioned, this one's going to be a pretty big effort and power armoured themed one. 3 channel viewers winning a Space Marine Battle Company. Basically any combination of Space Marine kits up to a budget of £550 or $900 from the Games Workshop web store, with a stipulation that you must include at least 50 miniatures in that. As a bonus for fielding entire battle companies, if your selection contains at least 100 miniatures, you can have a budget of £600 or $1,000. For the Space Marines in question, it can be Grey Knights, Divergent Chapters, Chaos Space Marines of any stripe, or Heresy era ones. There's many different Space Marine fighting forces out there. Just for a few examples though, here's maybe a more traditional Primaris style battle company. 40 Intercessors, 20 Hellblasters, 20 Jump Intercessors, and 20 Infiltrators, led by some Chapter Command and a Dreadnought. Here's a different take using a couple of Combat Patrol box sets. There's the Imperial Fist one, the Dark Angels one, and the Vanguard Task Force one, backed up by some Assault Intercessors, Hellblasters, Eradicators and Intercessors, plus a Gladiator Lancer for some fire support. That's a pretty big mix of specialist Primaris stuff there. And then here's a more armoured option demi company, 2 tech marines, some hellblasters, intercessors and some scouts, and then a phalanx of dreadnoughts with 2 redemptors and a ballistus, and a couple of repulsor executioners. In any case, whichever flavour of battle company might interest you, there's the 2 usual ways to enter, either supporting the channel on the Patreon page for any paid amount, that gets you automatic entry each month, and it is the main thing that supports my video creation here on the channel. Otherwise you can enter completely for free via supporting the channel on social media and boosting the algorithms. To do that, one, subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow the Facebook page, and then to enter the draw, a Google form appears on the 1st of October at midnight UK time. That appears on the channel's Facebook page and is active for 24 hours, and it has the instructions for entering there, the main thing being a photo of any 40k mini or imagery, along with the name and date handwritten within the same photo, that bit just to make sure that the prizes go to real people and not bots or spammers. After the 24 hours are up, that post is locked and the draw is done with a random number generator, and it's announced on the channel update video on YouTube around the 4th of October. I'll get in touch with the 3 winners and ask which particular phalanxes of Space Marines take your interest. The links are below if you'd like to check those out, but in any case a big thank you for listening. Let me know your thoughts on the new Jump Captain and the potential for Warhammer Day previews down in the comments below. I'll certainly look forward to your takes. If you'd like to see more like this, then feel free to subscribe to Auspex Tactics. I'll certainly keep the regular 40k videos coming, with new ones out just about every day. Channel patrons get a fair few advantages, seeing certain videos early, regular votes to see what sort of things come next on the channel, and automatic entry into the regular prize giveaways, with similar giveaways to the one just mentioned. A big thank you to any support in there. In any case, a massive thank you for listening though, and I'll hope to see you guys next time.